What up, y'all? It's Oskino the Don. Please hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and drop a comment below as it helps this channel grow. And today is November 14th, 2023. It is World Diabetes Day. Pardon me. And I am a type 1 diabetic myself. So, for those that are unaware, there are two main types of diabetes. You have type 1, which means that you need insulin because your pancreas doesn't secrete enough or any at all sufficiently to keep the sugar from going into your bloodstream and being reabsorbed back into your cells. So I want to focus on type 1. Obviously, type 2. Type 2 is more reversible. Actually, it is very reversible with a healthy diet and some exercise. Type 2 is usually associated with those who are overweight and don't have a healthy diet or lifestyle. Type 1, unfortunately, you can be very healthy as far as, working out all the time and eating healthy, but as far as we know, there are no known cures, and we are very actively trying to find a cure. And I don't believe that a cure is going to be particularly for type 1 because type 2, there's a cure. You just work out, you watch what you eat, you watch the amount of carbs that you eat, and you work out, you lose weight. You have a very significant chance of reversing your type 2 diabetes and living a normal life. Type 1s, we don't have that access to where we just eat healthy and work out and our diabetes becomes reversed. So, we have to really focus on the internal care, really do more studying, more research. I feel like that there are cures out there for type 1 diabetics. However, I think that the cure will be individual based. I believe that more studies need to be done on a cellular level. We really need to study why a person develops type 1 diabetes. Is it because of the food that we introduce to our bodies that, nowadays there's a lot of genetically modified organisms that actually is not real food and doesn't um, resonate with our body on a cellular level. We have to really do that full blood test. And I'm not talking about a complete blood panel, you know what I mean? Complete metabolic panel that you get when you go to your doctor. I'm talking about the one that you may have to actually pay out of pocket for. That does cost, a pretty penny. Obviously, if you prioritize your health, you should be able to save enough money to be able to get these tests done to see exactly the type of food that you need to be eating and things of that nature. See what your body is deficient in. And then from there, that could be a baseline as far as your overall good health, and then maybe you can start to reverse your type 1 diabetes. That is just my perspective. Obviously, I'm not a scientist, but I do believe that if indeed there is a cure out there, which I believe it starts with the individual and what a particular individual needs. As type 1 diabetes, it's not the same for every person who has it. It varies very differently. I'm a brittle type 1 diabetic, so very sensitive to insulin and to carbs. So, it took a lot of trial and error. I was diagnosed. I remember the date by heart. I even have my medical dog tag chain right here for you guys to see. But May 4th, 2010. So coming up on 14 years knowingly living with type 1 diabetes, zero hospitalizations, thanks to I have a amazing support group with my mother, my father, and my brothers. My mother being from a medical background, nurse for over 30 plus years. Now she teaches nursing. So she knew all the symptoms and made sure that I got treated right away. Um, when I was first diagnosed. I was urinating a lot. Oh, I'm sorry, let me back up. Before I was diagnosed, I was urinating a lot, frequently dehydrated, and when I was dehydrated, I would either drink soda or chocolate milk, particularly orange soda. And at the time, those were my favorite drinks. And obviously, not knowing that I was a diabetic at the time, it just made me more dehydrated because my blood sugar would rise, and basically my cells were getting starved because they weren't able to reabsorb the glucose, which is a lot of the energy that we need to function off of. So, I could have been in serious trouble. And amongst the frequent urination and severe dehydration, I was also always tired. Like I could sleep 16 to 18 hours a day and still be tired. And obviously, still now, even now that my blood sugar is under control, it's almost like I'm always hungry. Like I can eat so much food, and never like I have to eat to the point where like my stomach feels like it's about to explode to not crave food. Like I have to almost be in pain to not crave food. Those are some of the symptoms that I've experienced. A lot of them are universal with type 1, but for me I find it that I'm almost always hungry, and it's not good because I love food. And I have an insulin pump, which is a substitute for my pancreas. A pretty decent substitute. But I would like for my pancreas to get back to working 100%. So if you want to follow my journey, I will always keep updates on my health, as I know that it's not easy to deal with. So my fellow type ones out there, if you know anybody that's a type 1 diabetic, send them my way. I make a lot of content just sharing my personal journey with type 1 diabetes. But we are going to get into an article today that brought about the awareness and made today, November 14th, 2023, World Diabetes Day, which I think there's a lot of awareness for type 2 diabetes, but not so much for type 1. It's becoming more prevalent, so the awareness is starting to pick up. But, a lot of people, the average person, don't even know the difference between type 2 and type 1 diabetes. And there's a huge difference. Life or death for me is literally the size of my pinky nail when it comes to too little insulin or too much insulin. So, it's a very thin line between life and death for us. But we do our best to still maintain a somewhat normal life and do what we need to do to take care of business, such as, school, work, taking care of your bills, and just being active with your family and just you really just trying to make the best out of life, right? So I just want to share my screen with y'all. The website, let's see what this website is. Diabetes.org. So I want to share that with y'all so you can read along with me. And here we go. All right. So it says, why is Diabetes Day on November 14th? Diabetes Day is observed on November 14th to honor the birthday of Sir Frederick Banting, who, along with Charles Best, discovered insulin in 1921. This day is dedicated to raising awareness about diabetes and promoting better understanding and care for those affected by the disease. Now, just some quick facts. Out of all the people that are diabetic, like type 1 and type 2, 90% of people are type 2 and only 10% of us are type 1. I'm in that 10%. So, it just goes to show you that there's a lot more information that needs to be shared so people can become more aware. I mean, a lot of people go undiagnosed to the point where they may be in a coma and have a diabetic coma, and people are unaware of that. When I was first diagnosed, my blood sugar was 469. I know people that have it in the thousands. Yeah, in the thousands. A normal person's blood sugar is anywhere from between about 65 to 110. It doesn't go higher than that because your pancreas acts on it right away and it keeps it very leveled. So for somebody to have a blood sugar in the thousands means that they had diabetes for a long time, you know. And it could mean that their pancreas produces no more insulin at all and has no way of actually regulating the blood sugar. So yeah, and my blood sugar I know was higher than 469 at some times. Before I went into the hospital to get officially diagnosed, I was drinking a lot of water, as my mother told me to help get the urine out of my system. I mean, sorry, the sugar out of my system. That's another thing too, right? With when you urinate as a diabetic, type 1 diabetic specifically, because our blood sugars go a lot higher than type 2s ever do. Um, when you urinate, and sugar comes out of your urine, it puts a strain on your bladder, and we are more prone for urinary tract infections. So like these are just things to be very aware of, and to always do your best. Obviously, you can't be perfect. Nobody's perfect, and I mean with diabetes, it's a particularly type 1 diabetes. You don't get a break from it. You know, the minute you take a break from it, your blood sugar goes up to 200, 300, things of that nature. And even when you gotta calculate the amount of carbs that you're eating and how much insulin you need to give, I mean, luckily now they have a lot more technology where the insulin that you give is able to kind of correlate with the meal that you're having, so you don't get it too fast or too slow. But there are still some foods that will make your blood sugar spike regardless because it's a machine. It's not your actual pancreas that can release it at will. Because for somebody that does have a pancreas that works the way that it should, our body systems are so intelligent. Like it's not like we tell, "Hey, pancreas, I need you to secrete insulin now because I'm eating a lot of carbs." Our bodies function on their own when they're working at the optimal when they're all in the optimal health. But yeah, for type 1 it's very difficult, and we still do a pretty damn good job at staying strong and being on point. Not everybody is, but that's why I'm here sharing my experience and bringing about the awareness because it's very necessary. I mean, especially with what they're doing to the food, the water supply, the air supply. You never know what can cause these genetic predispositions to have type 1 diabetes come about. So, the more that we're informed about it, the better off we are, and the better and more extensive research that we do in other areas that still are in the beginning stages, the better chances we have of actually finding a cure. And not one cure will be for all people, but one cure for one person. And we do it based on that person's genetic predispositions, you know um and doing the extensive blood tests that are necessary to figure out what does this person need? What are they deficient in? And things of that nature. Okay, so what this article says, what is National Diabetes Month? I mean, pretty self-explanatory. National Diabetes Month is observed through the month of November. During this time, various organizations and healthcare providers aim to educate the public about diabetes, prevention strategies, and advancement in diabetes management. Now, I do have to say, like, there are some wonderful professionals out there that will, like that are keyed in on, diabetes, that teach diabetes and things like that, but a lot of them actually aren't diabetic. Now, I'm not gonna give people medical advice. Imma give people my personal experience with diabetes, and when I hear something that is actually false, and I've done this quite a few times, like, you have people who call themselves medical doctors giving some of the most ignorant advice on type 1 diabetes. It's like, you don't even know what you're talking about. Like I actually know that to be false. So please, when you're hearing certain messages or certain advice from quote unquote doctors on the internet, please don't be lazy and actually what do you call it? Back search, or what I would say is actually fact check. Not like them fact checkers online, but actually fact check what they're saying it to be true. If you need a reputable place to get information, go to what is it? Yeah, the American Diabetes Association.com. That is the number one site where you can get any legitimate information about type 2 or type 1 diabetes. So if you feel like anything that somebody is telling you is questionable, just go to American Diabetes Association.com and you can fact check it. Because there's a lot of people out here talking about, well, if you eat this, if you eat cinnamon and this and that, your type 1 diabetes will go away. No, it won't. Trust me, I've tried it. If it worked, I would have a whole documentary out showing you guys, hey, this is exactly what I did and it worked for me. And there's a lot of things that I've tried, a lot of natural remedies and things of that nature. So, and I'm not telling you not to eat healthy. Of course, I eat as healthy as I can. But eating healthy for type 1 diabetes isn't a cure. So the conclusion of reflecting on National Diabetes Day is that we realize the significance of this day and its impact on raising awareness about diabetes. It's not just a day in a calendar, it is truly a beacon of hope for millions of people battling this disease. Now, it's cool that there's a month for, diabetes awareness, but, after the month is over, our diabetes doesn't go away. So, this is an everyday thing for me. And throughout my life in the past, I kind of did content, then I stopped for a while because I got discouraged. But now I'm in a different place now, and I see that there's more of a need for it, and it's a passion of mine to whatever I learn and whatever works for me for my type 1 diabetes, I'm willing to share my journey because what good is my experience if I don't share it with those and let those know that they're not by themselves? You have somebody that you can relate to. So I'm always here for that. And let's see what they got. The rest of the article says we've learned so much about diabetes through years of research and development. Yet there's still more to uncover. A lot more to uncover. Trust and believe. Say that's why National Diabetes Day isn't just important, it's vital. I agree with that. By shining light on diabetes, we encourage ongoing research, promote healthier lifestyles, and inspire those affected by this condition. It's beautiful and everything, but let's see why there's so many autoimmune diseases, because type 1 diabetes is an actual autoimmune disease. It's where the pancreas attacks itself or something in your body attacks your whole system, and the result ends up in the symptoms of type 1 diabetes. So I feel like that there should be more research geared towards what's causing all of these autoimmune issues, because there's more. Obviously type 1 is just one of the many autoimmune issues out there. I'm not sure if you guys can see, but you can see the skin color. I have vitiligo as well, which is an autoimmune disease that affects the pigmentation in the skin. It's not a skin disease, it's an autoimmune disease that affects the pigmentation of the skin. And they say it's usually associated with type 1 diabetes. So it's like, you know, usually when you get one autoimmune disease, they tell you that you get more than one, which, in my case seems to be the case. So let's get back to this article. And it says, let's look at some numbers that highlight the importance of understanding and managing this chronic illness. So, statistic people with diagnosed diabetes in the United States, the number 34.2 million. And there's about 1.5 million new cases each year. And pre diabetes condition, there's about 88 million. Now, on that chart doesn't differentiate which one is type 2 or type 1, so I'm pretty sure it's both included. So just take 10% of all those numbers. That's what you get with type 1. So these statistics underline the critical nature of addressing diabetes as a major health concern. Here are some key takeaways from our discussion today. Awareness is instrumental in combating any health issue, more so with conditions like diabetes where lifestyle changes can make huge differences. That's more or less for type 2, but of course, you wanna eat healthy regardless if you got type 1, type 2, or no diabetes at all. So we need to, focus not only on treatment, but also preventative strategies. Indeed, we do. How can we prevent diabetes from developing, both type 1 and type 2? It says harnessing technology for better monitoring and management offers promising prospects. Yes, of course, technology, when used for things like that, are phenomenal. I agree with that. But, it'll be nice if we can get our actual organs to start working properly again. Um, and in conclusion, National Diabetes Day reminds us all that while great strides have been made in managing this chronic disease, there's still a long way to go before we achieve our ultimate goal, curing diabetes once and for all. Now, I do believe that there's a lot of people out there that want to cure for diabetes. But, there's always those corporations that don't want to cure because they make money off of it. So all in all, I just want to give a shout out to everyone out there who's battling diabetes, particularly type 1, because it is a lot harder to deal with. I'm not saying that type 2 isn't hard, because a lot of people just can't get it right for whatever reason, when it comes to type 2. But type 1, we are insulin dependent, and without insulin, we will die. And, a lot of these medications cost a lot of money, and some people don't have health insurance. So, Not only do we need insulin, but we also need our blood sugars to be checked more frequently than a type 2. You know, to have a healthy lifestyle, if you don't have an insulin pump, which gives us our insulin continuously throughout the day, and also when we calculate for our meals, if we don't have that and a continuous glucose monitor, then you got to prick your fingers. If you want to be healthy and not suffer any complications, you're gonna have to finger prick at least 8 times a day. The reason why I say 8 times a day, first when you wake up, and if when you wake up you don't eat right away, then you want to finger prick again right before you eat. Then a little bit after you eat to see how high your blood sugar has raised based on what you ate. And then a few hours after that meal's over, then again before you eat your next meal, and then a little bit after you ate your meal, then a couple hours after it, then dinner time, and then after dinner and before bedtime. So like there's a lot of things that go through type 1 diabetes that a lot of people aren't aware about on our day to day. And that's why I want to focus on type 1 diabetes because I've been living with it for almost 14 years now, and I've had zero hospitalizations because I like I said, I have a great support group. My mother didn't allow me to fall off at all. Like as soon as I was diagnosed, my mother got me into a certain routine, and I was in denial. It's very painful even to this day. I struggle mentally. A lot of people don't understand. It's a lot on the mental because you do not get a break from this. The minute you take a break from it, your health could slip. So, there's so many complications. You can go blind, you can die. Obviously dying is the worst one, but you can go blind, you can get your limbs severed because of the sugar that stays in your blood that doesn't get reabsorbed by your cells. And, this is why type 1 is so serious. And, you know, I'm going to do everything in my power humanly possible with all the stuff that every human being has to do every day, which is like go to work, take care of business and stuff. I'm going to dedicate a lot of my time to try to find a cure, at least for myself. And then I can share with other people how I went about it and all of the different things that I've tried from dieting to, fasting to cleansing to how to actually cleanse all of your organs, all of these things I'm gonna try because you have to be your own doctor at the end of the day when you have type 1 diabetes. So I'm gonna wrap up this video. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, turn on the notification bell because I cover a lot of topics from health, sports, politics, everyday struggles, you name it. I'm here for all of that. And I'm just leaving my footprint on this world. Peace and one love, y'all. Oski Notre Dame.